Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Tuesday, April 22, 2025. Making the headlines tonight, fellow artists remember Punta Rock artist Consigo. Compol said police had no reason to detain Taylor prior to hijacking. And BNTU asked members for way forward after CEO's salary increase. KHMH union condemns salary hikes. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
Make light
Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. The Belize music industry is mourning the loss of popular Hopkins-born Punta Rock artist, 35-year-old Consigo, whose formal name was Dion Ogales. Unfortunately, after 3 days, he succumbed after a traffic accident on Holy Thursday. Police have reported that Consigo was driving a motorcycle when he was knocked down. Here is ACP Gilberto Romero.
On Thursday, police responded to a road traffic accident near Armenia. Luis Esquivel reported he was driving a van when a motorcycle attempted to overtake another vehicle, collided into his vehicle. The person fell on the street and sustained several injuries. The person was taken for treatment. He was identified as Dion Ogales, and he received several injuries. He received treatment and died thereafter at the hospital. An investigation is being carried out. The file will be put together and sent to the DPP for directives. NIP served and urine sample was obtained from both drivers.
Consigo passed away at the KHMH on Monday. A dynamic, dedicated, and passionate artist, he produced several dance hits, including Namule. Many became soundtracks for celebrations across Belize. His fellow artists are asking for a tribute fitting for a Belizean music star, but those in Belize City have gone ahead and planned 2 events in his honor. A vigil will be held on Thursday, April 24, beginning at 5 p.m. and ending at 10 p.m. It will start with a procession from Heights of Vibes Studio off Faubers Road onto Central American Boulevard, then onto North Creek Street, and end at DTH Studio on Seagull Street. On Friday, they will hold a celebration at Heights of Vibes Studio, also starting at 5 p.m. Today, we spoke with a few artists who were so close to Consigo, they considered him a brother. They're still trying to process his sudden death. T.R. Shine recollected when he first met Sigo, as they called him.
I met Consigo back in 2003 when it wasn't actually me who introduced him to Heights of Vibes. It was one of our past brothers named Pungas. And we met him playing at, I forgot the club right here on the boulevard, and that's why I met him, and Pungas brought him back here, and we heard his exuberant talent, and that was there. He was a Heights of Vibes member. He was always a person that brought the A game in whatever he did, and this was what makes him so special, because I remember all the times recording songs with him that, like, okay, the last song we did was a song that was somewhat derogative, Unu Marasokas or something like that, right? So I remember the last session with him recording, well, that wasn't the last session, but that was one of the last sessions with me and him, personal songs beside all the celebration songs we do and all the election songs we do and what's not. But I remember just saying one word in a chant and Consigo just repeat it back and run with it easily. So when you get behind the mic, that bam, 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 and it's finished. You know, and that's what makes him talented and exuberant. And beside that, as an individual, this is a very durable person to talk about. I mean, as a Heights of Vibes member, we've been around Consigo for so many years. He's been around us, so blood, sweat, and tears. As a brother, we know what we go through. And, you know, I would just like to say that make my brother fly peacefully in a glory, because everybody know that he touched everybody. Yeah. He heart me pure, you know, he heart me sweet. I'm a beautiful person, you understand? So I don't want to get emotional, but that's my brother.
Ronald Young C. Renault started his own DTH studio and says they pulled him over from Heights of Vibes.
That turned into what? Into a long time brothership. Me, he positive, Nello player, and even TR, everybody Zach. Like, we turned that into a brotherhood. And from that moment there, that man that the only man we could call wrong way. We could vex the whole day. Go through something with your girl, go through whatever. This man call wrong, he want to do something more just so I make her smile, laugh, open up her heart, joy pour out. That was it. Sometimes you find family in your house, but sometimes you find real family out the road. And that my real brother, genuine brother, right? But For say with the Garifuna scene, I don't believe there's nobody like Consigo. Consigo had their own style, their own everything. Like he just be different than everybody. Energy-wise, make people feel good.
Isaac Stendat Logan is one of the regulars at DTH Studio and told us he was hoping to collaborate with Consigo.
Man, that was brother, a full brother, and the artist, he an artist, and as well as me, but we supposed to do a punta. My first punta, we suppose, like I tell him, I want to do a first punta, but I want to collab with you, or you help me out with this, you know. He said anytime, but most of the time, he never got time, right? But he still got time for come here, we hang out with we, and, you know, vibes up, and, you know, go to the studio and stuff like that. But patient is a virtue, but I could handle patience, so I made wait for him. You know? So yeah, so he got a slang way like said to like I never gone. Like I never gone. I think he bring that slang like early last year, yeah, like I never gone. That slang is sort of my slang going towards the next album when he come out with. Yeah, but I don't remember if I may finish it or not. Yeah. But knowing Consigo as somebody where, man, joyful, a lot of energy, you know, when he come around that Archie, and it's on, you know. So yeah, some punta music, it's on, and he talented, you know. And I'm a bedroom, a young bedroom, you know, brother, everything in a one.
Different is also the word that Cyril Uruguay Garcia, culture and political activist, used to describe Consigo. He shared a quote from Steve Jobs. He says encapsulates who Consigo was as a human being and Belizean musical icon.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the wrong pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward, and while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. They're people who you just look at, and in the entertainment world, in that space, he was just different. You know, he was a rebel. Usually when you're just getting active out there and you see a big name on stage or in your presence, and it's not a matter of disrespect or trying to be bold, but there are some artists who would shy away or not really put out their all or their best because they're so humbled in the presence of others. While Consigo wasn't disrespectful or trying to show himself, it doesn't matter who was around, he was Consigo. And, you know, that's the power he carried. Each artist have their own way, their own contribution, their own style, their own voice. And what Consigo contributed to Punta Rock is he was like the hip hop of you know, the music in America, of the hip hop of Punta Rock, so to speak. That energy, that that confidence on stage. So in terms of carrying that forward, I'm sure that he has infected a lot of youths with that energy, especially our youths that are interested in Punta Rock.
In a press release today, the National Institute of Culture and History remembered Consigo, the artist, songwriter, and producer. It recalled his journey into music as a teenager and wrote, quote, "His undeniable passion and talent are evident in a string of hits such as Sidong and Bunks, Sufrida, and Namole, among others." While his main genres were Punta Rock and Paranda, he was a versatile artist, also producing songs in cumbia, soca, and dance hall. He was known for his boisterous and energetic performances at home in Belize and on international stages in the U.S., Mexico, and Guatemala, end quote. Niche notes as well that Consigo also had many collaborations with other Belizean artists, and in 2024 he collaborated with Yastalia, TR Shine, and Roxy on the national celebrations hit Belizean Party that was commissioned by the Office of the Prime Minister. He was also tapped for a contribution on a Belize-Taiwan song commission named Work Together. Additional information has surfaced regarding the whereabouts of the man who hijacked the Tropic Air Cessna caravan on Holy Thursday. 49-year-old Akiniela Sawa Taylor was from St. Louis, Missouri. He previously served as an educator and before that a military veteran who had written a few books, one of them about personal redemption from spiritual trials to hope and purpose. The synopsis of the book on Amazon reads, quote, "It is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a light. It is a message of love and compassion, and it is a call to action for others to find their own salvation," end quote. The Belize police had provided details from the weekend of April 12th when he attempted to come into Belize from Mexico. However, he was denied entry due to a missing Mexico stamp. On Sunday, he was at the Corozal Free Zone, and reports are that he had a confrontation with immigration staff. Prior to that, however, surveillance footage puts him 1 week before the hijacking in Belize City. He visited Belize dry cleaners 2 days. On the first occasion on April 10, he sought directions to get to the Philip Golson International Airport, and on the second day, he asked how to get to Corozal. One of Taylor's nephews, who was interviewed in St. Louis, first heard the news when he was approached by the media and said he was shocked. He said he doesn't think Taylor would do something like that. Taylor was married and had 4 children. He taught at the Hazelwood School District several years ago, and from June 2018 to February 2019, he was an assistant football coach for the district. The nephew said Taylor served about 2 decades in the U.S. military and held an office job. They worked at the same site but on different shifts. The last time he saw Taylor was 2 weeks before the incident. He added that in his view, his uncle was okay as he was not on any medication, nor did he present signs of psychological problems or post-traumatic stress disorder. Today, the Commissioner of Police addressed Taylor's re-entry denial.
In a situation like that where a person is refused entry, what happens is that that person is sent back to where they are coming from. If it was a situation where they were coming through the PGIA, what the immigration would do, they would issue an RLL, refuse leave to land. You would then be put on a next flight back out of the country. In this case, it's a land border. So what happens is that he is not allowed entry. So he went back over to the Mexican side. I think sometime on Sunday, not Sunday, I think perhaps Wednesday night, he was seen in the free zone. Again, to be in the free zone, if you're coming from Mexico, you don't pass through immigration. You would know the immigration station is after the free zone. So once you are a tourist from Mexico or whatever, you can have access to the free zone without immigration authorization. So he was found there. The matter was reported to Mr. Rosado. Mr. Rosado had directed the police that there was no offense committed because he was in the free zone area and he would not have reached immigration. So not even an immigration offense would have been committed. And so based on that, he had said that the person did not commit any offense. And I totally agree with Mr. Rosado. And any detention then would have been an unlawful detention. It so happens that Mr. Taylor, I guess, went back over into the Mexican side. And how he eventually returned into the country, we don't know. But again, I've said before, our border is very porous in that area, and so he could have easily stepped back into the country.
Williams explained that checks were made with the Corozal Police Formation to determine if Taylor should have been detained. He also said that he was unaware of any reports Taylor had assaulted police at the Corozal Free Zone.
we're also hearing information now that he had assaulted some police officers, which was never reported to myself or Mr. Rosado. And certainly, if Mr. Rosado was told that he had assaulted any police, I'm sure that he would not have directed that the man not be detained. And even so, if a person assaults a police, you don't need to seek permission from the commissioner, the deputy commissioner, even your commander to arrest that person. You arrest that person there and then. There's no need for you to call and say, this person assaulted me, what can I do? No, you don't need to do that. So I believe that these things are just being done out of mischief and to create problems. And I can assure the public that what is being shared via the media houses in terms of the police lacks in dealing with the issue prior to the plane hijacking is not true. I had commissioned an investigation over the weekend to ascertain all the information, and even when I spoke to commander of MIU, he had contacted the OC in Corozal, asking if the now deceased Taylor was wanted by Corozal police for anything, and there was no answer forthcoming. Eventually, he was told no, and with that, the person was not detained, and he went about his business.
Williams said as far as could be ascertained thus far, Taylor was merely visiting Belize as a tourist.
Well, we don't have any information in terms of why he was here, other than the fact that he might have been a tourist. In terms of contacts, I've seen some video footage that showed him in certain areas. People questioned him about what he was doing, and he said he was a normal backpack, what do you call those people? Backpacker, moving around. So we do not per se stop people from coming into the country if they're coming in as tourists.
As to the fatal shot inflicted by passenger Fitzgerald Brown, the DPP will decide if he will face any charge.
That is not something that is going to be decided by the police, but I can tell you from a legal standpoint, looking at Section 38 of the Criminal Code, which deals with justifiable use of force and harm, it says that a person may use force even to the extreme necessity to kill in certain circumstances, and those circumstances include where it is perceived that one is going to cause grievous bodily harm to another, or even greater than that. And the force used can be either in defense of yourself or another person. Concerning the situation that confront those persons on board that flight, where the lives of 14 or 16, 15 other persons were in danger by a knife-wielding man who had injured 3 persons on board that flight. It would be reasonably to say that the force used was justified. And so what we are going to do is to put the file together and we send it to the DPP for final determination.
Williams also revealed that should Taylor have survived, his crime would not have been considered an act of terrorism. Well,
under the Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorism Act, it would not meet the threshold of an act of terror. So, should he had survived this ordeal, he would have been charged perhaps for kidnapping, attempt murder, along those lines, but not for terrorism, no.
The couple also addressed what happens now with Akinyele Sawa Taylor's body. He explained that the U.S. Embassy is dealing with that aspect and added that the family may choose to travel to Belize.
The matter is being dealt with by the U.S. Embassy. Obviously, we'll have to do a post-mortem examination. And once the examination is done, then if the family of the deceased persons decide to come to Belize, then they have to make arrangement with a funeral home to assist them in making the arrangement to ship the body back to the U.S. So that is what is normally done.
In other news, the Belize National Teachers Union, BNTU, is reaching out to its members to find out how it would want the union to express its dissatisfaction to the government over the recent increase in salaries for the Cabinet Secretary and Chief Executive Officers. A message that is being circulated to members highlights that the increases come, quote, while teachers and public officers continue to experience financial hardship due to frozen and delayed increments, unpaid allowances, and salary upgrades, end quote. Meanwhile, the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital Authority Workers Union today issued a press release condemning the increase in salary for top government officials, a move that the KHMHAWU states, quote, reeks of entitlement and political opportunism, end quote. The cabinet secretary's salary now jumps to $96,000 per annum, while that of ministry CEOs increased to $88,000 per annum, reflecting a 15.7% increase. The increase is retroactive to March 13. The union calls the move, quote, a slap in the face to the hundreds of essential workers who carried this nation through crises and continue to deliver care under increasingly difficult conditions, end quote. The union is now demanding the immediate prioritization of pension reform for KHMH staff, a freeze on salary increases for the aforementioned government officials, and the swift resolution of all outstanding labor matters. The union also said that if the government continues to delay arriving at progress regarding their pension, they will consider industrial action, end quote. After the break, pilot Howell Grange recovering after harrowing ordeal. 2 other injured men released from the hospital. Stay tuned.
Hi there. Are you on your phone?
Freetown Drugstore, telephone 223-2876.
On Saturday, Aline Grange, the wife of injured Tropic Air pilot Howell Grange, reported that he had been placed in an induced coma to, quote, protect him from a chemical pneumonia due to blood in his lungs, end quote. He was extubated but remains in the intensive care unit, though he is doing better, while speaking a little and joking he would love a beer. He was also placed on high-flow oxygen and received blood due to a low blood count. She wrote, quote, Howell is still not out of harm. We still need to continue praying for his recovery, end quote. She thanked all who have shared words of encouragement and also Tropic Air for their assistance. She described the ordeal as a traumatic time for the entire family. She reported that Grange received multiple stab wounds, including a major cut on his right arm and forearm, back, face, right ear, and left forearm. She stated that the stab wounds to his ears penetrated inside his mouth and cut his tongue, causing him to swallow some blood, some of which ended in his lungs. According to the official report of the incident, which does not recount step by step everything that happened on the plane, Brown fired at Taylor on landing because that is when he started stabbing the pilot. Meanwhile, Tropic Air reported that Jair Castaneda, a manager with the company who had also been injured, was released on Friday. Passenger Fitzgerald Brown was released on Saturday. From his hospital bed at Belize Healthcare Partners, Grange earlier today expressed gratitude to all those who have been at his side and everyone who has expressed support. He also thanked those at the radar and control tower for their cooperation and understanding of his plans. After thanking Brown and Castaneda for their bravery, he said of the passengers, quote, thank you for maintaining your composure in such a distressing moment. I know it was not easy. We all have loved ones who are deeply worried, but together we made it through, end quote. Grange has also thanked the security personnel, whom he said ensured they were all safe. A heated online topic following the hijacking of an aircraft belonging to Tropic Air is the matter of Belize's laws concerning boarding airplanes with firearms. In the U.S., there are strict laws governing the aviation industry. In Belize, where domestic flights are concerned, the laws are rather lax. In fact, there may be no law governing such a scenario. Today, however, Commissioner of Police Chester Williams said that it is likely to change following the incident.
I don't think I have said that, no. And there is nothing either to say that you cannot. Yes, we would hope that nobody would be able to board an airline with any kind of weapon. And I believe that the time is coming that we are going to get there. It's a work in progress.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams, today praised all who were involved in a response to the Tropic airplane hijacking on Thursday. He said despite lacking experience, the situation was handled well. Williams said he hopes it doesn't happen again, but if it should, there will now be a better plan following last week's incident.
None of us who were involved in this entire process had any prior experience in dealing with a plane hijacking incident. None of us. But we had to be creative, we had to be reasonable, and adapt strategies that we believe is going to work, that is going to yield the result that we got. And I think that all the agencies involved, the police, the civil aviation, the airport authority, the BDF, really and truly performed exceptionally well. Our efforts were well coordinated, including Bert, because Bert plays a very, very crucial role at the end when the plane landed. The medical service that they provided to the victims was critical at that juncture, and so they also need to be commended. But again, from this experience now, we certainly can put our minds together and see how we can develop a policy that is going to help us moving forward to ensure that, one, there is no reoccurrence of this, and two, should there be any reoccurrence, that we will be in a better position to be able to respond.
Turning now to sports, the 95th Holy Saturday Cross Country Cycling Classic left Belizeans devastated, arguably like no other. The garland of roses was taken by British cyclist Jim Brown, riding for Miami Blazers. American 20-year-old Alfredo Bueno from Team Legions out of Los Angeles took second place. Both teams are owned by Belizean Americans. It came down to a sprint 12 minutes before midday. Mexican Uriel Espinosa took third place, coming in a few seconds behind the sprinters. The first Belizean to cross the finish line was Derek Chavarria, coming in some 6 minutes after the winner in a sprint. Over 100 riders lined up for the start at 6 a.m. to San Ignacio and back for the 140-mile race. 24 foreign riders registered, including from Mexico, USA, Canada, Honduras, Guatemala, Venezuela, Colombia, and Great Britain. There was an early four-man breakaway that included Justin Williams, Tariq Flowers, Hollister Baptist, and Mexican Uriel Espinosa. At Rockville, they had developed a minute and 12-second lead, riding at 25 miles per hour. At mile 27, the peloton closed the gap and turned it into a 30-man lead group. At mile 32, a couple riders tried to get out front, but were quickly reeled back in. On the return at Mount Hope, the lead group consisted of 20 riders, including a handful of Belizeans. By Cotton Tree, the main group had been reduced to 13 riders, with only 3 Belizeans, Oscar Quiroz, Jaivan Gonzalez, and Derek Chavarria. They were riding at 18 miles per house in a mean headwind. By mile 34, the lead was only 4 riders strong: British Jim Brown, defending champion Honduran Luis Lopez, Mexican Uriel Espinosa, and American Alfredo Bueno. Lopez tried to get away, but he was not allowed, and he was eventually dropped by Bueno and Brown. Incredibly, despite the vicious headwind, they had increased their speed to some 27 miles per hour. The Mexican started falling behind, but caught up. Closer to the city, he was dropped. Belizeans, left with a bitter taste, did not stay to watch the finish in the usual large numbers. There was a question mark on the reason for the lack of any attempt by Belizeans to mount a challenge to the foreigners to the finish. Returning to police news, the body of Jeremiah Koch was found in Punta Gorda town the morning of Good Friday, behind a house on Mahogany Street in the Indiaville area, not far from his home. He had multiple chop wounds. The discovery was made just before 9 a.m. on Easter Monday. Police arrested a Guatemalan teenager and a 27-year-old construction worker, Axel Zatino, for Koch's murder. ACP Gilberto Romero today provided an update on investigation.
Punta Gorda police responded to the discovery of a body at Mahogany Street in Punta Gorda. Upon their arrival, they saw the lifeless body of a male person with several chop wounds. The person was identified as Jeremiah Koch of Punta Gorda. An investigation was carried out, which revealed that Koch was along with several persons at a bar drinking. Thereafter, they left, and thereafter his body was discovered. Investigation has led to the arrest of Axel Zetino and a 17-year-old who were jointly charged with the crime of murder.
Is there any motive?
They were drinking and they had some dispute. That is what led to the chopping incident.
So is there any connection between the deceased and those arrested?
Yes, they know each other. They were at the bar together.
Still in the south, on Saturday, the body of a man was found near Thatch Key, which is located to the east of Dangriga, Stan Creek. The identity of the individual is not yet known. Today, ACP Gilberto Romero told the media that police are awaiting the results of a post-mortem examination.
On Saturday, 18th day of April 2025, the Anguilla police responded to a report that a body of a person was found east of Danguiga by Tachki. Police responded where they saw the decomposed body of a male person. The body was taken to the morgue and is now awaiting a post-mortem examination. Also, we're trying to establish the identity of this person.
What condition was the body in? Were there any injuries?
No injuries were observed, but we are awaiting the post-mortem examination.
Turning now to the north, there was a traffic accident at the entrance of Guinea Grass Orange Walk after 1 Monday afternoon. It involved a small white pickup truck which collided head-on with a black Explorer SUV on a curve. The truck had extensive damages to the front portion, while the SUV also had some damages. The driver of the pickup truck lost his life as a result of the impact. He was identified as Carlos Landaverde. Today, ACP Gilberto Romero said the case was forwarded to the DPP.
On Monday, the 21st day of April 2025, police responded to a fatal road traffic accident at Guinea Grass. Upon arrival, they saw a white Chevy S10 pickup and a Ford Explorer vehicle with extensive damages. Carlos Landaverde was the driver of the S10 Chevy pickup. He received several injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the Ford Explorer was identified as Oscar Garcia. NIP served, urine sample taken, and again a file will be prepared and sent to the DPP for directives.
Landaverde's brother said that he was still trapped in his vehicle when they arrived on the scene. Family and friends worked together and removed him from the vehicle and then transported him to the Northern Regional Hospital as the ambulance had not yet arrived on the scene. He said that it appears the other driver was speeding, and some claimed that he also appeared to be under the influence of alcohol. Landaverde leaves behind a 10-year-old son. After the break, UB lecturer suspended over students' sexual harassment allegations. And Pope Francis passes. Stay tuned.
20 years ago, receive real-time status updates.
A University of Belize professor, Dr. Pio Saki, who is also the Faculty and Staff Union president, has been placed on administrative leave based on preliminary investigations into allegations of sexual harassment made by multiple students. In a scant release issued on April 17, the university says it has now begun a full investigation into the allegations and says, quote, "The matter will be reviewed by the appropriate disciplinary committee, ensuring that due process and transparency are adhered to throughout the investigation," end quote. It recognizes the courage it takes for individuals to come forward and says it provides the necessary mental health and counseling support to the students. Reports are that the complaints against Saki date from as far back as 2010 to the Office of Student Affairs. One student reported that Saki had sent her a friend request on Facebook, then started sending her messages coming on to her, saying she was pretty, that she was his favorite student, and that he had a crush on her. Another student he reportedly also befriended on Facebook said he would invite her to his house to relax and drink. This year, one student described Saki's behavior as predatory and inappropriate, commenting on students' bodies and making requests for hugs, as well as inquiring about their personal relationships and sexual activity. She provided accounts from several other students. After 6 months, senior Belize Defense Force soldiers Captain Claudio Quiros and Major Ermil Co returned to Belize Sunday from Haiti, where they participated in the United Nations Multinational Support Mission, MSS. The BDF, in a post on their Facebook page, stated that the officers assisted in different capacities, including community engagement, logistical and operational support, and security initiatives aimed at fostering peace in Haiti. Other soldiers were being prepared to deploy to Haiti. However, Belizean authorities repeated that the organizers of the mission needed to meet some requirements beforehand. The United States is the greatest funder of the MSS. Leader of the opposition, Honorable Tracy Panton, is calling for a comprehensive plan to address domestic aerial security vulnerabilities that were exposed when a Tropic Air Cessna Caravan with 15 passengers was hijacked mid-air by a knife-wielding U.S. national. Panton says they are prepared to engage the government and industries involved in a bipartisan approach to meaningfully address the issue, ensuring its long-term resilience. Needed is a plan of action with a strong roadmap that includes proper screening and security protocols at all airports, says Panton. She added that there must also be continuous training opportunities for our air service personnel. She calls for the implementation of an air marshals program to dissuade and prevent any malicious or criminal intentions. She wrote on social media, quote, "Right now, the government is operating without a budget, and I am hoping that whenever the budget is read and debated, the Civil Aviation Ministry not only receives the support it needs to implement the changes necessary, but also that it leads to discourse on how to modernize our air transportation industry and infrastructure, because the livelihoods and safety of both Belizeans and visitors alike depends on this," end quote. And Pope Francis, the world's first Latin American pontiff, passed away Easter Monday at the age of 88 at 7:35 a.m. local time at the Vatican. He died of a stroke and heart failure. Pope Francis suffered from complications due to chronic lung disease and had spent 38 days hospitalized since February 14, when he developed double pneumonia after a respiratory crisis. He had become the 266th Pope on March 13, 2013, and served in that role for 12 years. He was released earlier this month and last ministered on Easter Sunday, blessing thousands in St. Peter's Square. He was born in Argentina as Jorge Mario Bergoglio. He is remembered for his charm but humble demeanor. His papacy was marked by concern for the poor, but also for his criticism of capitalism and climate change. He brought many reforms to the church. On X, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated, quote, "The government and people of Belize mourn the passing of His Holiness, Pope Francis. We extend our deepest condolences to the global Catholic community. His legacy of compassion, humility, and peace will forever be remembered," end quote. It also recalled the visit of Prime Minister John Bersenio to the Vatican last year, where he and the Pope discussed, quote, "the Catholic Church's historic commitment to the development of Belize," end quote. The Diocese of Belize City and Belmopan has announced a memorial mass for Pope Francis to be held on Monday, April 28 at 6 p.m. at the Holy Redeemer Cathedral in Belize City. Until the Pope's committal service on April 26, Belize will observe an official period of mourning. Flags will be flown at half-mast from midday Thursday. And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. The repeat can be viewed on the station later tonight at 9 and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another news broadcast. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.